soldiers in firing squad fashion with the guns at our heads. We screamed back no from America, America. They've now stripped us of everything. The only thing I had left was my passport, and I threw it at them. Somehow they became convinced, and they pulled the guns from our heads. We believed because we were from the same country their weapons were from, they would have to pay a price for killing us that they had never had to pay for killing the Timorese. And they moved on. A Red Cross Jeep pulled up, and we were able to get into it. Dozens of Timorese jumped on top of us, on top of the Jeep, to escape this killing field. And we drove like that as a human mass to the hospital. When we got to the hospital, the doctors and nurses started to cry when they saw us. We were not in worse shape than the Timorese. They had killed more than 270 Timorese on that day, not one of the larger massacres in Timor. But I think they cried because of what we represent to the people of Timor, and not just us, all of us as Americans. I think we represent two things, the sword and the shield, and not just to the people of Timor, to people all over the world, Timor, Nigeria, Haiti, Honduras, all over the world. We come from the most powerful country on earth. The sword or the shield. We represent both. The sword because the U.S. military, all too often the U.S. government gives weapons to repressive regimes or uses them themselves, like in Iraq. But we also represent the shield. And on that day, that shield was bloody. And I think it just deepened their despair. Jump forward 10 years, and this is where I'll end, to May 19th, 2002, the day the people of East Timor celebrated their freedom. Well, we had been banned from ever returning to Indonesia. The Indonesian military called us a threat to national security. Over the years, we've been caught, deported, arrested, but we got into Timor on this historic day. 100,000 Timorese gathered in Tasitolo, a sandy plain just outside Dili, to celebrate their freedom. It was just about midnight. Kofi Annan, the UN Secretary General, had given his speech. And then Shanana Bushma, the rebel leader of Timor, the founding president of East Timor, got up and he unfurled the flag of the Democratic Republic of East Timor. There was this fireworks display, and the people looked up, and you could see the light reflected in their tear-stained faces. This nation of survivors had prevailed. They had resisted, and they had won at an unbelievably high price. A third of their population wiped out, one of the great genocides of the 20th century. But they ultimately had won. And they knew they couldn't have done it alone, thanking people all over the world. Sure, they were the bravest. They were on the front lines. They bore the brunt of the pain. But they thanked people, especially from the most powerful countries, saying no to their governments, providing weapons to human rights abusing regimes. And it is a lesson to all of us, whether we're journalists or students, professors, teachers, whether we are artists or shopkeepers, business people, doctors, nurses, lawyers, whether we are activists, employed or unemployed, we have a decision to make every day, every hour of every day, and that is whether to represent the sword or the shield. Democracy Now!
Listening to her several years ago, and if it was...
Good evening, and welcome to Louisville Late Night. This evening, We're in beautiful Louisville, Kentucky, and it's 5505. 5505. And we are just absolutely thrilled to have with us Amy Goodman, who's the host of Democracy Now! And we're going to be seeing her visit here in its entirety. Her wonderful lecture at the Clifton Center is all going to be on Louisville Late Night. And you're going to hear a lot about Amy there. But anyway, here's Amy's new book. It's called The Exception to the Rulers, Exposing Oily Politicians, War Profiteers, and the Media That Love Them. A little quote on the front: pick up this book, read it, and go raise some hell. That Michael Moore. And there's a lot of other great quotes in there too. But I got Amy here with me right now, and I just want to ask Amy a few questions that come to mind. Amy, tell me this.
I am amazed at your technology and your use of it.
I just found things work better, the simpler the better. Now this is just something that popped into my mind. I'm so happy. I feel like what you're doing with words, I do with music. And what you're doing with all of these stations, I'm a little oasis in a sense here in Louisville, and I've been wanting to hook up with you all for so long, and it's just such a wonderful thing that you're here, we're together right now. But anyway, just one thing that pops into mind. Andrew Weil, he says that he's one of a number of people that say that watching the news depresses people. Whether they like it or not, just watching the regular mainstream news can be really depressing.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I think it can if you watch the local commercial news, because you're being fed really it's just a megaphone for those in power. But I think real information, I think getting reality reflected is very empowering, no matter how difficult that reality is, because I have a great deal of faith in people that if you have the information, you can decide what to do with it. It's the lies that are a problem. That's very disempowering.
I agree with you totally, and the fact is that Democracy Now! Is extremely refreshing. It's like a breath of fresh air in a very stale climate. But aside from that, and I've watched Democracy Now! Quite a bit. I love the show, but there is a lot. I mean, somebody made that remark about the Jon Stewart show during your little thing, and then you had a nice thing that you said also, that that's comedy and that you're serious. But, I mean, you didn't say that.
Right, but what I was responding when people said they get their information from Jon Stewart, I understand that. Most people get their news from late night comics on television. But Jon Stewart is a lot more serious when it comes to journalism than the people who call themselves journalists.
Right. But do you think it's possible in Democracy Now! That there could be a problem with so much negativity? I mean, you're looking at a lot of what people don't want to see, or they don't want to, you know what I'm saying? They don't want to know about this.
But that's what I always am amazed by. I travel around the country and I talk to many, many people as we go on this Unembed the Media tour, calling for the unembedding of the media, challenging that whole practice, which has really meant that the media has reached an all-time low in this country. We've got to separate it from the government. It shouldn't be embedded in the government. But yes, we deal with very difficult issues.
Okay,
and they might seem depressing, but I think people hearing a reflection of their own views makes a big difference.
Right, just the process of getting it out there and getting the juices flowing makes some hope. But here's something that's not clear to me, is that people, I mean, some people want kind of a simple answer, a simple solution to situations. And what do you see from all of the breadth of your point of view, what do you see in this world with thousands of years of nationalistic and patriotic killing and religious wars and just all kinds of crap going on that we don't even know about? Where is there real hope? Where do you see that hope coming? Is it through the media? Is it through democracy?
I think that the media are the most powerful institutions on earth.
And how do you see it happening?
As I said in the speech, more powerful than any bomb, than any missile. The Pentagon has deployed the U.S. media. It is a weapon, it is a tool, but it's a tool for change.